Hi, Leslie and Jose. I feel like I'm driving in on two wheels here, getting this reflection done. It's been a really hectic week, and it's been really difficult for me to conceptualize this material and what I really want to say about it in so few minutes. So, I guess the first thing I was thinking about is I'm so sad by all the statistics of just the barriers that people who are experiencing poverty face. I wasn't surprised by any of them, but when they're reinforced and you see them, you realize how comprehensive they are, and just there is no escape route, there is no back door to go through because they're just surrounded by barriers in all levels and all ways. And we really need to be looking at not just how we think about what we know, but how we structure our schools as well. So that was just a lot. A lot of things were swirling through my mind, and one of the things was just about community, because that's been a big theme. And he mentioned the fourth grade team and how one of the strategies you could use is, if you're fourth grade math teachers, for example, you could look at the results for all the kids, look at the patterns, and kind of take responsibility as a team for what isn't working and figure out how to address it. And we work as teams, but we don't work in a way where we actually take responsibility for the kids in others' classrooms, right? So that's another way I think the belief has to change for us. It's that overall responsibility for each other, so that our sphere of influence is not just our class, it becomes in our team, which becomes in our school, and then beyond that. So as we think about our sphere of influence and how we can expand it, it has to start there. I thought also about community. If my ELC is a freshman group that comes in and they're taking their freshman seminar and they want to be teachers. So I thought about what would happen if I came in and said, okay, your grade is dependent on everyone else in the class. Everyone is going to get the same grade, and it depends on how you do as a group. I can't even imagine how they would react, but I think that would be a springboard for a great conversation, because how, as a teacher, are you really looking at your class and what success means and what it looks like? And that's just something I thought would be an interesting topic. The thing I think that really resonated with me also is that we need to take a strengths-based approach, because I know I talk about the Clifton Strengths Finder all the time, but what I really like about it is it gives you not only your top 5 strengths, but these strengths are common upon people where they manifest completely differently. So someone who has lots of structural barriers could have the same communication strength as someone who's had all the advantages and has learned formal English and is very articulate. And people wouldn't necessarily say, oh, well, they're both good communicators, but they are in their own way. So it's a way to really see how strengths cut across and what we value and whether that's something we should value or not. It also gives us a common language to recognize people for what they do well and look at different things that may bother you and realize, well, that's really a strength. You know, if you're someone who acts quickly and someone who doesn't, and you're analytical, you may look at each other like, wow, you guys need to get going, or you guys need to slow down. But you can look at things more from a strengths lens, and I think that's a good way to equalize things. The other thing I thought about was the redistribution of resources when we talked about how the school administrator, the district administrator, took the funds from one PTA and he actually dispersed it among schools that had a higher poverty rate. And I think that is a good in theory, but I think that kind of thing will deter progress, because I think people will be so much more resistant to it. I think we need to be focusing on how the structure of our laws and policies need to fund our schools more equally, rather in equity sense, not equally, but make sure that they all have the resources that they need, because otherwise you just have a school in higher poverty and they're feeling bad like someone else gave them something, and they're being pinpointed in the press or in complaints like, well, we had to give that to you. And it's just the same thing as the candy bars, selling the candy bars to me. We don't want to redistribute funds that way. So, oh, I hope you can understand all those muddled thoughts, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say this week.